Welcome to the Building Business Podcast. You're here with Dan and Jay, where we talk all things business, battles, and balance.
Andrew George is the founder and managing director of Lou Projects, an award-winning custom home builder based on the Central Coast. Lou Projects specialises in designing and building energy-efficient, sustainable and eco-friendly homes and is all about adding value to the client. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. That's an interesting intro for me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Good. You've done a lot of great things. I had to cut it short.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah.
Too many good things.
Yeah, well, it feels like a long journey, that's for sure.
Now, I always ask an interesting question. Now, would you rather be a billionaire that's too busy or someone with no money and plenty of time?
No money and plenty of time, for sure.
Why is that?
Time's all you have. Time's the only one that just disappears and you never get it back, you know, like you're not going to take that money with you.
And a lot of the good things are free.
For
Go
sure.
for a surf, free. You know what I mean? Go for a walk, go for a run, do whatever. I think time any day of the week as well.
Well, ever since I've had a kid, all you want to do is slow time down.
Yeah.
He's like, I blink and he's 15 months old.
Yes.
And you're just like, I just love every moment of this, you know, so time is just so precious.
And people talk about being wealthy, and there's wealthy money, but then there's wealthy in time, wealthy as in health,
yes.
You know, healthy, all the rest of it. So,
yeah,
I like it. Your backstory, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what's the journey way back in the beginning? Were you always going to be a tradie? Obviously it's a sort of a long story, but I'll try and cut it as short as possible. But I finished high school. I actually finished year 12. I was there for like the socials. I was actually pretty good at school. Yeah.
I got good marks, but I was just having a bit of fun. I didn't really take it too seriously. And then obviously finished school, started a diesel mechanic apprenticeship, lasted a few months, got fired from that, did landscaping.
Why'd you get fired from that?
Sorry?
Why'd you get fired?
Well, he told me it was because they didn't have enough work, but I made a couple of mistakes and I'm pretty sure he sacked me for the mistakes. And then landscaping, I did that for a few months and I got sacked from that too. Again, work slowed up. But this was all like 2007, you know, so I didn't realise at the time we were in a recession pretty much.
Yeah.
So then I was like, you know, I'm going to study business because I was fascinated with business and property. And I was like, I was reading real estate mags. I was just a fiend for it. So then I did that. I was studying business and I was, I guess, like I need to make some money. So I went and jumped on the railways for, I can't remember how long it was, maybe a year and a half. And I was making good money. And a mate of mine said, he was a real estate agent at the time, and he said, you've got to buy this property. And I bought it for $345,000 at the time, which is crazy to say. And I got and the government was just handing out money. Well, they're still doing that, but they gave me 14.
They're also taking it off us too.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, it all evens out. They gave us $14,000, which got me a long way. So I renovated the house with my friends, and I got my mates in. And they were like doing their apprenticeship at the time, and they were helping me just do some carpentry around the house. And I was like, why shouldn't I be doing this? You know, like I was really good with my hands. I grew up with my dad, like he was a farmer, but he was a woodworker. So I'd be in the workshop with him, helping him, learning lots of different things. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do an apprenticeship. So then I did that. I worked for a couple Kiwi guys and just had like a really good time with them. And then I got into commercial, worked for my mate for a bit, got into management, quit that because it got too intense in commercial. And then I renovated my house at the time again, and then I got into resi, high-end resi, got into management again. And then I was like, you know what, I'll just start my own business. And then the idea was like Lou Projects was like, I'll do development, which I did. I developed and renovated quite a number of houses. But then I just got fascinated with the idea of like helping clients and adding value. And you did the intro of like eco stuff. It's just interesting because I never actually market myself as that anymore. I started the business like I wanted to like save the world, help the environment. And as you learn more and more about that, you're like, it's not as simple as that, you know?
Yeah.
So now it's just like focusing on, just adding value into the community and helping other builders, helping clients. And that's where we're at today.
Cool.
That was a long-winded answer.
No, it's a great answer. It's good insight. I'll go back to the start where you talked about buying your house. It's changed a lot. I remember, I think, I was a little bit earlier than you when I bought my first place, but it was 127,500 on a railway line, and I think I forked out $1,500 by the time I got the 7,000 first home buyers. Like, so easy. Like, it's changed a lot, but it was just same thing. My mate, he was in real estate. He goes, "You got to buy this." Just went on that journey, and sometimes that little prompt is the difference. But so eventually, you set up your business. I get a lot of people who are, say, developers who go, "Hey, maybe I should start up a building company," and I'm like, "Don't."
Don't.
And they're like, "What?" I said, "Well, you're good at developing. You've got this part of your cash cow, so to speak, income-wise, and then you got developments, and then I let builders be builders because it's bloody tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like being a builder is, I always say I reckon it's the toughest company to run because you're doing everything, and it all comes back to you. Especially in the beginning, what's it been like for you? Like. You started and you wanted to add value, and that's what it's all about, is in value for you to make money and maybe lifestyle, value for the client to give them their dreams and help facilitate that, value for staff. That's what value is, creating value. But what's your value component been like? Has it been tough?
I mean, the toughest thing in my life has been this business. Like, I can see from a developer's perspective, they're like, "Oh, that's a margin I'm missing out on."
Yeah.
But it's not an easy margin. And I am biased in saying that, I think being a builder is one of the toughest things you could do. I just feel like particularly now as the legislation evolves and becomes more convoluted and complicated, the liability is just higher and higher. And, I guess how people operate now is, I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting myself from this. This is a liability. What if we go to court? This is just the way people communicate now. It's so frustrating, rather than just going, why don't you just do the right thing and just fix it, And I think everyone's sort of like shielded now because of how the legislation's set up, and it just makes it really hard to build because, like, as a builder, I'm not only running my own building company, but I'm working with dozens and dozens of other companies, and they're all on different journeys. Some are like in highs with their business, some of them in lows, and I've got to like somehow, navigate myself into all of that.
Are you referring to trades now and suppliers?
Yeah, trades, suppliers, even consultants. Everyone's running their own race, and I've got to I deal with so many businesses, not just people, but businesses. And and then you got to deal with that, and then you've got to deal with your staff. My staff are really fantastic. That's the least of my problems. But then you're trying to build a house, and you got to navigate all of this with an architect and a client. And if you haven't done the pre-construction process properly, that relationship can sort of get muddled and messy because expectations from the client can be very different to the builder and even the architect. So it's just messy, and it's really hard to navigate all that. And I used to get a lot of anxiety from dealing with all of that. The conversations that you have with yourself about the conversations you're meant to have with those people doesn't even turn out to be that hard of a conversation. But I think there's so much about this building business that is hard, but there's so many like really rewarding aspects of it. And it's funny because like I get a lot of builders reach out to me now and they're like, oh, I really appreciate what you've done here, and can I ask you questions about this? Can I have a chat to you about this? And I haven't been doing this that long, and to have other people asking me how to help their business is actually, I really enjoy that. And I'll probably get into some sort of mentoring or something at some point, you know, maybe if I ever retire from building. But yeah, that part is really rewarding for me, and seeing my you know, my staff sort of enjoy working for Loop Projects, and you know, the clients that have a really good experience with us. Not every single one of them do have a fantastic experience, but I feel like the last year and a half I'm getting the projects coming through now, and they're having a really, really good experience.
It's good because, I mean, you've had to earn that. And what I mean by that is you were very conscious of setting up a good business and, you know, having a good brand and investing in processes and team around you. Tell us a bit about that. How important was the brand and being, I guess, the face of it, and being strong on video and communicating? Was that a very conscious decision, or just something that you went, oh, well, that's the way it is?
It's hard to say now because it just feels like that's just what we do. You know, like doesn't feel like a conscious decision to be like, oh, I need to say this specifically, or I need to do this specifically. I think I've always been quite artistic. So, you know, my Mrs. Inika, she works for me, and she's a doer. She, you know, operations assistant, does all that kind of stuff. But I've always been the visionary, and
you're the creative, are you?
Yes.
Yep.
So almost too creative in a way that's like, I've got all these ideas, and I'm doing multiple things at the same time, and none of it's good. So I've got to be careful with that.
It is funny though, like just on the creative side of things, because you can see things, think of things that are way beyond most people's, you know, ability, right? But you got to land it and you got to execute it, and I guess that's you and your partner's balance, which is like, cool, but this is reality over here, and then how do we bridge the gap really between the two? So is that sort of how it works? Because I don't know, like sometimes you'll see the creatives be like, but why can't we do this? But then the reality person's more like, yeah, we can, but we just got to do this first, and it's frustrating. Is that something that happens or not?
Oh, I mean, that definitely happens with working with architects and clients. Yeah, my missus has to rein me in a bit, you know, and that's fine. It's part of the process. We sort of like yin and yang in that way, and I'm stoked about it. But at the same time, it's sort of like disheartening to hear, you know, your missus say, "Oh, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that." You're like, "Oh, okay, I've got to digest that for a bit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from a branding point of view, I mean, has it helped you target your ideal jobs? Do you think that's been a big difference? Because some people are the best builders but have terrible brand and never get the work, you know, and we're pretty conscious of that. I know with what we do. Is that similar with you? Did it help you start to get the good clients and the good jobs or not?
I'd like to think it has, for sure. It's sort of the way I see the brand is my creative side, and I've always just wanted to look and present really well. Like, I'll buy a nice car, I'll keep it clean. So our house is super clean. Well, not super clean. Like, everything in our life is relatively tidy and clean. So the brand is just a reflection of myself and even my missus. And we just wanted to look in a way that is respectful and like tidy and clean. And I think clients particularly, they'll see that and they go, oh, this guy is serious about business. And again, it's just the stuff that I put out there is about adding value into the community. And if a client sees that and goes, oh, oh, this guy's organised, or he takes his team serious. That's just, I guess, the byproduct of what I want to put out there anyway. So if that's an outcome, then great, it's a win-win.
Because you are big on the communication and education, you know, for all parties really. Is that a conscious thing, or like to help educate the client so they onboard well, or is that just something that you like to do just as general knowledge? You know, which is it?
I think, I think clients, like for us, like communication is the biggest thing ever. Like all the problems that ever occur in building is because of a misunderstanding. And like I was saying to you just offline before, all of my faults was off the back of 2024, where we lost a couple of projects and we were rushing projects through. You know, oh yeah, we can do that, we can sort that out, we can get that, oh don't worry, we'll sort the drawings out later. It's the worst thing you can do, because if it's not documented, then the expectation versus reality is very different. And so now I have like this extremely thorough pre-construction process. Goes from, it's 3 stages, and each stage is clearly defined, and there's checklists and stuff. And I think taking clients through that process is they understand how well we communicate. And I always say to the boys, like, I've got 2 junior project managers now, and it's like, don't wait 48 hours to get back to an email or a text message. Just max 24 hours, you know? Because people are just like anxious, right? They're like, oh, I need to know something about this, and then you write back a week later. It's just the worst. So it's like...
Well, they start to build their own story in their head as well, don't they?
Exactly.
They're like, I haven't heard anything. Well, is this even happening? You know, what are they doing? And then they start to solve their own answer because they haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous.
Yes, for sure. So, yeah, I think communication's number one, you know? It's speed, but also just clarity.
I'm big on pre-schedule, right? So schedule a job, cool, but have a schedule pre-construction, because not only does it give you a good, I guess, timeline of when things are going to start, and you can actually sort of pre-schedule in when do you want it to really start is a big thing, and managing cash flow and, you know, workload and all that sort of stuff. But you're right, pre-schedule is... unbelievable. That selections journey, council, you know, what to expect, what we need to tick off. And ideally, if you've got all the selections done and everything's in order and the client has all their expectations, you know, sort of either met or at least, you know, has an answer to, whether they have been met or not, they at least go, cool, we're good. And it sets you up well during construction. So less delays, less assumptions, you know, less, you know, I guess pain points if you like. And that's good, because you're pretty much, I know you're helping the client, but man, it makes your job heaps easier, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Like I said, that the mess that I created from 2024 was just because of not doing that, right? And now, like, it just feels like when we get to construction, we're just sort of finishing up one now, and I finished up another one, a little commercial project, and that process just went, like, during construction was just so smooth. Yes, there were a couple of small variations, but like the client really understood what they were getting. And I'd rushed a contract signing process once, and I'll never do it again, you know.
What's an example of the things that go wrong? Like, just a couple of things that you go, when you rush it, what's some of the things you see during construction that hurt you?
Well, the problem I see is when you deal with an architect in pre-construction without the client, the architect does, you know, definitely not all of them. There's just some out there that just don't track all the discussions and don't put all that into a document. So we do that now, obviously, keep everyone accountable. And then so the client expects a certain outcome because the architect had discussed that with him. But you know, if we're over here value managing or value engineering, like the design, and we make suggestions about where the value is and, you know, how you can reduce the costings on a few things. If that's not translated into the actual document clearly, then the client just expects that this is the outcome. So the biggest mistake you can sort of make is like not understanding what the client expectation is, and then you start building, and then they're like, no, that's not what I wanted, and then it's a massive mess because it's the architect's fault, but it's also the builder's fault. But the client has to pay for it, and then you have to negotiate whether the builder wears it. How much does the client wear? The architect just goes, no, not my fault. So I think that can get really, really messy. But yeah, the biggest things is just variations. And now we have variation fees, we have variation trackers, we have all sorts of like systems in place for variations, because we got one project that's got so many variations, and we hadn't been adding delay costs, we haven't been adding the fees, like the associated fees. Like a project manager might spend 2 hours on a variation that's only $1,000. The markup doesn't even cover the time, and nor should it. So it's like you're just burning money. So now we have minimum fees regardless if you accept the variation or not. And some of those variations don't even accept. We haven't factored in that many hours of project management to manage that volume of variations.
And that's a big thing, like, because I always go to the empathy part, which is put yourself in their shoes, right? You get a client that goes, I've never done this before. You guys are the two professionals. Cool, tell me what to do, do your thing and just tell me when to pay for it, right? But when they're like, hang on a sec, my architect said this, and then you're telling them something different because maybe you're right, they weren't part of the conversation. They're just going, well, far out, guys, why am I paying extra for something that's not my fault? And then, as you say, the architect on the other side's going, well, I've drawn the pretty picture and you're meant to deliver this with the client, depending on their approach, obviously. And then you're going, well, hang on a sec, hey, I'm just building what's drawn. To what's drawn, and to ideally a budget to help the client, and I'm pulling this together based on a conversation, and this is what it equals. So when you look at it, you kind of go far out, but the only thing that brings it all together is that trilogy of communication, which is like, cool, we all need to talk, we all need to document it, and everybody's on the same page. And that's the whole thing. Some people think a sign-off is a legal part, right? And it is, but it's also, are we all on the same page here? Are we all 100% understanding this? Yep, cool, now let's sign it, which is effectively signing off on the work, signing off on the payment, signing off on all the costs, whatever. But it's the fact of we're all on the same page, which is probably the biggest, thing that you're talking about, which is, cool, if we're all on the same page, we all agree that this is, and it's a reference point too. We can also go, hey, remember when we talked about this? But it's good for you to recognise that, because I'll sit with builders and I'll go, what's your strength? And they'll go, quality and service. And I'm like, cool. And I've never met a builder that says their quality sucks, right? Then I go, service, what is it? And they can't answer it. They go, I answer my phone, and I'm like, that's not service, or I'll talk to the client, Well, you got to do that. But what if you said service? I mean, what would you put it in your mind? What's you're offering value, obviously, and you're communicating well. I mean, I think it's good from afar, so it's probably putting you on the spot here. But what's the thing that you go, hey, this is a service that it's almost a point of difference?
For me, service, I've never actually thought about it, but it'd be just
it's such a broad word, isn't
certainty,
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good answer, but
I like it.
What I was just saying before, it's like a client signs a contract with us. We spend 2 or 3 hours signing contracts now, because I go through every document, I explain, here are the RFIs in the pre-construction phase, this is what I've implemented, this is what I've value engineered. So like when clients sign contracts with us, they're certain and understanding that they know what they're getting. And I think that's the biggest thing for us. But yeah, certainty and just like consistency, and just things are just not going to be perfect when it comes to building. We're going to make mistakes. But I think just keeping them arm's length and just saying, hey, this has come up, we've got a lead time issue with this is going to hold this thing up, but we've got it all under control. I think that's all you need to do. Like, it's just that level of communication. I mean, you can over communicate, we try not to, but it's just giving them some level of understanding of certainty throughout the project and even in the pre-construction.
Yeah, that's good. Certainty, clarity, whatever you want to call it, because it's a case of here's a problem, we've recognised it, here's the plan to fix it, and here's the outcome. You know what I mean? They go, great, thanks. Versus let's not talk about it. And they'll naturally find something or question something or something that you know is normally in construction they might not know. And they go, why is that behind the walls? Or what's this? You know? So, no, I think that's really important. One thing's, having a good brand and communicating really well, onboarding client. You mentioned team, and you said team's the least of my worries. And you seem to be big on, developing a good culture and a good, good set of values in the business. Talk us through that. Like, what is there a conscious goal, or is it just naturally how your team's been developed?
I think that a lot of that all stems from my personal development. I had maybe relatively intense childhood. My mum was pretty intense, and the way she communicated was sort of like how I would communicate in my 20s.
Tell us about that. What do you mean? What's an example of that?
Well, hopefully she never listens to this, but she was hostile in her communication, and that's not a fault of hers. Like, she grew up in the Philippines, and she was poor, like really, really poor. And I remember we would go and visit every year for 2 or 3 months of the year, and I'd hang out with the family. I was in my element, but I do remember, like, we were in huts, So her family's, they're pretty good now, but I think she grew up from a place of like survival, and the intensity of how she spoke to her family and even spoke to my dad, I just thought that was sort of normal. So then you sort of like, you bring that into the construction industry, and you get kickback from other people. Because I was in management since I was like 25. I worked up pretty quickly. 26. So the ego gets to you, and you think, oh, this is the best way to communicate. This is with authority. All these ideas that you think is the best way, and you realise it all fails, and it fails in your relationships, your friendships, and you just go, well, you get to like your 30s and you're like, what have I done? So for me personally, like, I had to do a lot of work to improve myself, and again, it's that obsession with reading lots of books and going to all sorts of different, workshops and all sorts of things, and you're like, oh, that's super valuable. I could use that in the team, or I could implement this in the team. There's just so many things that I've picked up over time, and I do it in a way because I want to see the team thrive. And there's nothing worse when you've got they show up for work every day, and then sometimes it's raining and it's like hard work, or it's really hot, and then they got to go home to their families and deal with all the other things in their personal life. And, that can just be a bit much. And it just means like the performance of them maybe the next day or the week after might drop because they've got this other thing going on over here. And I'm like, well, if you've got the tools to manage that, then not only I get a better performing employee, but I get a happier employee, and I retain them for longer. And I guess everyone it's just a more enjoyable work environment where you're actually supporting each other and helping each other out, but definitely taking the piss out of each other. Like, I encourage that. You have to do that.
Yeah.
You're going to have fun, So I say, like, even now, like when I sit in client meetings and stuff, I'll sort of take the piss out of the clients. I'm just like, it's becoming too political, where now I'm like, all right, let's make it less like that and just have fun, Yeah. Try and have as much fun.
It is. It's because it's one of the most fashionable items. It's the most expensive fashionable item someone's ever going to buy. So they get a little bit intense, this is a lot of money. You're right, and you need to chill out a little bit, because I say to some guys, like from a client experience point of view, you're going to give them 12 months worth of torture.
Yes.
Really, because you're just going to say, hey, we're going to go on this journey, we're going to ask a lot of questions, we're going to take a lot of money, and the price may change, and communication typically may be not that great. But if you can flip it on its head and go, well, I'm going to make this the most enjoyable experience, right, and do that really well, then you're right, just even being conscious of it, to go, hey, let's have some fun, and I'm going to communicate, and I'm going to raise some things, but we're just going to be like, that's what it is, and we're going to handle it really well, and we're going to have a game plan, and let's do this journey together. It makes a big difference, and even you just highlighting it with them, I think it's just a great start. So well done. Just going back a step, are you somebody like, you recognise, your mum and the Philippines and the direct form of communication. What made you, when you said your ego and the way you used to manage people, what made you actually go, hang on a sec, I need to change this? Was it a moment in time, or did someone point it out, or were you just self-aware? What was it? Because something made you read a book. Something made you want to change your communication style.
I think it was a number of nuanced events, but I think, I had many failed relationships before I met, my missus now, Unica, and the one before her just called me out on my shit, I reckon, and she was just like, "Why do you behave like that?" And I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back, where I was like, oh, I've got to do something about this. And then I remember my niece, she's like a few years younger than me, but she got me a book, and I read the book, and it started this journey of self-development. But like, the thing is now, it's like when you get to a point where you're like, I'm comfortable with myself, I'm really happy with myself, it's like, that's great, but like, if you self-develop for too long, I think it becomes an unhealthy obsession. And I think reality is, if people spend more time, trying to help others, you'd probably get a lot more out of it. I think so many people now are talking about like the 3-hour ritual that you have in the morning of like ice baths and saunas and like, meditating for, I tried all that, and it does F all for me, So now it's just like, all right, I'm just adding value. I'm trying to help other people. I'm, like I was saying before, helping other builders and stuff. And it helps you reflect on yourself in that process.
It's when you say, it's interesting to hear you say that around the self-development part, because it's good for you, but the problem is the key word in there is self.
Yes.
And if you're all about self, then all of a sudden you're kind of useless to everybody else. You know what I mean? Because you're so focused on yourself, which is not a great thing.
No.
Selfish, So, that's cool for you to recognise that. And, yes, help others, add value in other people's lives, invest in them, whether it be, just every day with your staff, whether it be charity work, whatever it may be. And then you got to flip back the other way and go, crap, am I helping everyone else and destroying myself again? So it is an important balance to kind of just check in. And I think the big thing is having key people around you to go, oi, are you all right? Or, hey, pull your head in. Or, hey, do you want to do this together? Or whatever it may be, because that's the real check-in. Because sometimes you got this mask on of either too selfish or helping others too much, So a reality check is nice.
Yeah, and that's why it's nice to have good friends.
Yeah.
That can call you out on your shit too.
That's right.
You need that. Sucks at the time though.
It does. It hurts. But when your head hits the pillow, you really got to go, hang on a second, I've got to take that on board.
You got that right,
And this is the other thing too, just on that, is there's people who will speak truth and they're your best friends. And you're like, cool, I can hear that. It hurts, but I can hear that.
Yes.
And then there's people who will speak things that you go, hang on a sec, is that truth, or is that you just trying to be coming out of your own pain or your own hurt,
Yes,
or just
talking
and they just
down
want to
on it.
hurt you, you know?
Yeah.
So it is tricky, and that's the part where your best friends will speak truth and will hurt you, but for your best, you know, in your best interest.
You got to filter through it though.
Yeah. But they're also the ones who'll stick their hand up and try to help you too in that journey, which is nice.
For sure.
So back on the team thing, right? How big's your team now?
I think there's 11 or 12 of us, including me. Yeah. I have one VA, Inika. She does like office stuff, operations and marketing, and 2 junior project managers and a couple carpenters and apprentices. So. And
I saw, you know, you're talking about the budget a little bit with apprentices, you know, investing in them. What's your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, I got to watch the video, but just share that, I guess, that vision for investing in apprentices.
Well, I just think the young Australians are being like forgotten about. You know, they're like, oh, you know, they're always on their phone. They don't give a shit. They're just not contributing. And we always talk down on them. But like, I think the guys that come and ask for a job are great young men. You know, like, and I'd love to give them all opportunities. And there's plenty of guys out there. And it's like, if we just invest time and culture into those young Australians, male or female, I think the outcome's going to be a lot better, you know. And like I said in that video, it's like, you know, you bring in people in from overseas to solve the housing crisis, because I just can't understand how that's solving the problem, because they need a house immediately. While if you invest in young Australians, they won't need it. Like, you know, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are living at their parents' place and don't need a house. And yeah, I just think, I actually come up with this idea, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, about how the government could actually help young Australians.
Let's hear it, because I've got a few ideas around it too.
Yeah, I'm not an economist by any means, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But if the government just didn't hit, you know, young people up to maybe 25 or 30 with income tax, and then invest and then put that money into a trust and say you must buy a house by the time you're 25 or 30, and then you earn interest on that, and then, you know, young people can buy a house with that money, and if they don't, then it goes back to the government like as owed tax. I just feel like so many young people would actually have an opportunity to buy a house, because their serviceability would increase. They get to see their trust like be built up, and then, you know, but honestly, I reckon most people could buy a house by the time they're 25, and that's so, what's the word, like, inspiring. It's not the word inspiring, but like, it's so like, there's agency and capability for young people to be like, I can actually do this, you know. I don't see the government ever doing that.
I'm laughing. I laughed straight away. As soon as you said it, I was like, I literally voiced this on a podcast a week ago.
Oh,
haven't released it yet.
But you haven't released it.
Haven't released it yet.
Yeah, right.
But it's crazy, because I said from up to 30, I said, cool, wipe out tax.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, put it there as a kiddie, that when you're ready to go, and it can earn its interest, do all the rest of it. And I'm like, cool, you would be able to buy a house
for sure with
that tax, right? And you'd have to pay a slightly higher margin post 30, which I go, cool, that's fine. Because at the moment, it's impossible for people to get there, and they're going well and truly in their 40s, even 50s, to try to get a home, right? And I think personally, there's a sense of identity, and I don't want your identity to be in your home, but you know, the Australian dream, you know, the picket fence, raise a family, you know, renovate it over time, and this is your, you know, your upbringing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And additionally to that, the big thing that I see the hidden value is work ethic, which is, you know, something that gets established very early on, which is like, hey, I do need to rip in. I do need to get a job. I do need to save. I do need to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it means that it can create this sort of, you know, old school values of work ethic, if you like. I call it old school, not to say that it is just old school people, but yeah, that work ethic, rip in, I'm going to save my home. And then additionally to that, I'll go one step further. I think one of the greatest things to have is a family, and you go into that season, which is you go, well, cool, now I've, you know, worked so hard into that. Now I get the opportunity to maybe not have to think all about the dollars and cents, and I can choose good options around family and kids and being present and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we're on the same page with that one. The detail in it.
Yeah, the detail would be interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that, you know, the concept would work. And like you talked about raising a family, and you know, you're probably aware of this, but like the birth rate's 1.4 in Australia. So we're trying to substitute like immigrants to bring them in, when, you know, we should be trying to incentivize young people to have kids, but like they can't, but maybe they will be able to now because they can actually afford to buy their house. That is another whole conversation. It really is, because you're right, we're declining because can I afford to have another child? I want another child. Or can I have a child yet? No, I can't afford to because I'm saving for a house. Well, this flips it on its head, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, it's a cultural thing too. People are just like, I don't need kids, all this kind of crap. And like, I thought of that too, but like having kids is the best thing ever, you know, like, and it helps you self-reflect even more. You know, when you start, you raise your voice, you're like, oh, he's watching, you know.
Well, they're little U's, aren't they?
For sure.
That investment. It's interesting because we had the HIA economist on it ages ago, before whole, you know, immigration was a big thing and all the rest of it. He talked about how the government needs it, and they're actually not managing the financial position of Australia, and they need immigration to offset it. And so his words, in a subtle way, were to hide it.
Yes.
You know, because we're not producing enough locally, so therefore immigration helps offset that and stimulate the economy, but it's actually hiding a bigger issue. So that'll be an interesting one, and one that we definitely want to talk about in the future for sure.
Well, it's lazy economics.
What's that?
It's lazy economics.
It is. It's a quick fix, and it's the Band-Aid fix. I'll even go one step further though, and I don't think they'll ever do this and people will blow up about it, but I think if the building industry, builders, right, and maybe a circle around it, were to, if you invest in apprentices, if you would invest in systems that help, you know, better your business, make it more profitable, and provide an ultimate outcome that is superior for the consumer and the industry, I think that should be incentivised as well.
For sure.
As in whether it's, you know, rebates or lower tax brackets or whatever it may be, because that is the long-term investment in the industry that is needed. Whereas at the moment they're going, let's fix it with skills from overseas, or let's fix it with, I think they'll do an infrastructure investment and whatever else. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but that's the fix for now. You can't do that forever, right?
Yes.
Whereas the ongoing investment in future, which is the apprentices, which is bettering your business, which is providing a more robust industry, that's where it needs to be. And this is what I worked out. The flow-on effect, the loss in tax to the government is quite low in comparison to the stimulation it brings in design, land, trades, and all the other parts around it. So a really good halo effect. Anyway, so sorry, getting on my rant here a little bit, but I'm passionate about it.
I love this kind of stuff, you know. So it's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great incentive to incentivise, like, I guess, businesses to flourish, because everyone flourishes then. You know, what is it, like 40% of businesses, employment is from small businesses?
Yep.
So something like that?
2.5 million are small businesses, which I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's 97 or 98% of all Australia's businesses.
Well,
so it's a big number. Don't get me wrong, that other 2 or 3% are big,
massive,
it's massive organisations. But I think I was reading it was 2.5 million a small business. I think just under 1 million of those, because I was looking at it around the budget, have their family trusts set up and all that. So I don't know. What's your thoughts while we're on it? What's the budget to you? Like, did you like it? Not like it? I don't know. Everyone seems to have an opinion on it at the moment.
I've never really been bothered by the budget, but I was bothered by it this year. because, you know, like I was saying, I got into development. That's how I made most of my money, and that's how we afforded the place that we live in now. It's not because of just the business, certainly not. Yeah, I think incentivising, you know, what the most investors are mum and dad investors, and if you de-incentivise people to invest in property and even in shares, like I'd rather incentivise people to buy property, because, you know, what is it, 30% of Australians all need a rental property. So who's going to fill that, you know?
Yep.
And another 30% of homeowners like own their property outright. So it's like, I don't know. I was explaining this to my missus again the other day, because she just couldn't understand like how like the economics sort of works, and I say it out loud to help me process it. But I thought it was a good way to explain some of how the money gets caught up. And we've got a project that we're about to start, and, you know, the owners are in their 70s, and they're going to spend $1.5 million, and they've held on to that money. That's their own money. They're not borrowed, but now they're going to go spend $1.5 million with us, and then the subbies I'm going to pay the subbies. I'm going to pay my employees. The consultants are getting money out of it. We get profit at the end of the job. There's all of that 1.5 million is now stimulated back into the economy, and people are starting to build their own wealth from that. It's releasing sort of money. So I don't know if I'm going off on a bit of a tangent there, but I just think the budget needs to incentivise people to invest, and I just think the government just looks desperate now. They just don't want to like not spend money in certain things. There's a lot of waste in government. Some of the things I saw was just a bit of a joke. And yeah, I think penalising mum and dad investors is not the way to go.
You're right. $1.5 million in that person's bank account serves no one but them. $1.5 million into building a home, you know, allows for a lot of productivity and utilisation elsewhere, which is great. Yeah. You're right. I think the thing we talked about with clients, with clarity, and, you know, give them I guess a vision of what's going on, great communication. This is what I also see in investment, you know, having clarity and motivation to, you know, inject funds into things and stimulate the economy. That's what it should be. Whereas I think this is a case of, nah, we're going to rob you for doing that, and we're going to level the playing field. We want everybody to, the short version of what they're trying to do is they're trying to make housing affordability, you know, more viable, right? And then they're also trying to make things more equal for all individuals, right? Which means, you know, somebody who's getting a family trust and has some tax benefits there will be more on a level playing to somebody who has a job. That's the goal. They're trying to level it out. But my view on that is life isn't fair.
No, it's definitely not.
You've sacrificed a lot. You've gone and thrown a lot of time, effort, reading, risk into running that business. I kind of go, well, the more you stimulate and reward that, the fruit that comes out of that investment is greater, which stimulates more of the economy and more employment and all that. You take that motivation away and that incentive away, then you go, well, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I won't invest in more people. I won't invest in more time. Maybe you will. I don't know. But just that element of lack of motivation to do so, and that's probably the kick in the guts moment that I think I'm seeing, and it's the same thing I'm hearing amongst most people is, come on, motivate us, incentivise us to do well, not chip us for doing well.
Yeah, I think, like, you're right, like, business is hard and we should be, like, assisted in some sort of way. But I think, like, if you're moving money away from, like, I mean, in the UK, how many millionaires have left that place because of bad policy? It just means that capital is going somewhere else. They'll just go, well, I'm going to set up in Dubai, or I'm going to set up in even Ireland. Like, a lot of people are setting stuff up there. If you're going to, like, push people away, it'd be like going out to dinner with your 9 mates, right? And you're like, well, provide a bit of context, like, you know, I think it's the top 5% of people pay for 35% of the tax revenue. So if you're go to dinner with your mates and you have dinner and you put your hand up and go, all right, guys, I'll pay for 40% of the meal here, and everyone goes, oh, no, we want you to pay for 60. Well, you just go, piss off, see you later. I'll just pay my 10% and get out of here, you know? Like, it's so ridiculous to think that, you know, taxing the rich or penalising businesses is going to be a good outcome. It just means people are just going to be like, well, what's the point? Or just go work for someone else.
Yeah, that's so
big
true. Corporation.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of supporting people when needed, and supporting people with, you know, whether it's funds or ways or knowledge or whatever. I think it's massive, but you're right. In your exact example, it's also unfair on the other side, you know, because you're right. They're people that create a lot of jobs and stimulate the economy and help in a lot of ways. And if they do go, you know what, thanks a lot, I'm going to park this overseas and get super clever, you know, you're missing out 100% of it then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See you later. You're missing out on that revenue.
Yeah. So talked about the business, talked about some of the battles along the way. Tell us about your balance, like as in family life, what keeps you fit and healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, you know, what's that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a learned thing, but I've been going to the gym in some sort of form since I was probably 19, but seriously, probably 2014. I started CrossFit back then, and I'm still doing it to this day. Like, I'll do 1 day a week, but I've got a diversified routine now.
Started to bust the body, did it? CrossFit?
Well, when you do jiu-jitsu, so I'll do that now, it definitely does. Like, you might do 2 days of CrossFit, and then I was doing 2 days of jiu-jitsu, and I was trying to surf and everything else that I wanted to do, all my hobbies and stuff, which I don't have many hobbies anymore. But it takes a toll on you. You get to the Friday or Saturday and you're like, I can't move. So now I just do 2 days of jiu-jitsu, 1 day of CrossFit, and 2 days at a normal gym, you know. But I do PT work, so I feel like I needed some sort of direction. I never liked normal gym, just fitness first or anything like that. You have no direction. You walk in there and just fluff about. So now I've got direction. So I've got a good little routine, but I have to do that. Like, every day I have to do something, like, because most of my job now is in the office. If I'm not exerting that energy, particularly that anxiety, I just feel like anxiety is like energy built up. And if you don't get that out, I'm a heaps better person when I get back from the gym. I'm an Arvo workout guy too, so I need to do all that. And especially jiu-jitsu, there's nothing better than just choking blokes out. Like, it's just...
Jiu-jitsu's unreal, hey?
Yeah, it's so good.
It's and just on that, like, I did only 4 years of it, right? But
yeah, nice.
I remember the first session I did, I was like, this will be easy. Like, this guy's like 60 kilos. Like, are you serious? You know? And I played footy and it was all wrestling and all the rest of it, but I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And I think within 5 minutes, I'd been tapped out by this dude 5 times. I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to learn this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then you do, and you improve a lot, but then the subtle improvement over many, many years is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very humbling.
Yeah.
But now it's about, like, the nuance of, like, moving in a certain way that doesn't injure you.
Yeah. Are you gi or no gi? What do you prefer?
I prefer gi. Yeah. There's just more...
There's heaps more you can do.
Heaps more you can do.
Yeah.
More technical, I guess.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I don't know. I just feel like it's almost having a towel on you. You can wipe the sweat away. But no gi's
somebody else's sweat away.
You know, just sweat everywhere. It's just shit fight. I hate it now.
It's a pretty intimate setting, let's just say.
And I'm all about personal space.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like people in my, like, close to me.
And you decided to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's just so funny. I was like, especially like when you're rolling around with mouth breathers, like they're breathing in your face.
And some guys don't like deodorant.
Yes, yeah. So there's a bit going on there.
And so that's your physical outlet and a little bit to offset the anxiety, yeah. And if you went like, if you didn't do it for a couple of weeks, what do you like?
I'm pretty shocking, yeah. Like, I get really, like, naturally I'm a pretty it's hard to tap into it now, but I'm pretty fiery, you know, like naturally I am. But I rarely ever get fiery now. Only to my missus, she cops at the poor thing. But yeah, I need to do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I just sort of, there's something in me that just gets all like, my body just gets, I can feel it in my body just getting sort of like tense, and it comes out of me. So I have to do it, you know. And then like the mental side of things is, for me, it's just about, like I was saying before, like time, spending time with my son and my family and my friends is just so important to me. So that's, for me, mentally, it's about just spending time with them, and, you know, have the old sauna and all that kind of fun stuff too, you know.
Because
surfing,
surfing's good. You know, being out in nature is always great, and you kind of, sometimes you'll sit out there and be like, how good is this?
Yes.
And you have that moment, but then you forget because you get busy again, and you're like, I don't need to get out and surf again. But it's when you do it, you're like, oh, there it is.
Yes.
What about being still? How often are you still? I'm a big fan of encouraging people to be still. And I don't know, because being still, you're never still anymore. No. You're on your phone, you're talking, there's so many different things. Life's fast. But when I encourage people to be still, not only is it great to sit and watch a sunrise and have a coffee, do whatever, but you get the chance to process, you get a chance to breathe, you get a chance to not think. You actually get a bit more creative as well. You get innovative ideas, all that sort of stuff. But when you don't have that stillness, it's just busy, chaos, keep going. It's not like there's no mental recharge unless you're in sleep, and then try to go to sleep when you're fully wired, you know?
Oh, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Just before, you also said about nature, and I crave going camping in the bush mostly. Like a couple of weeks ago, we tried to go camping out at Barrington Tops, and it was just enough drizzle to be like, oh, it'll clear. That you're driving up there, and my missus is like, oh, this is not looking good. And I was like, you're stressing out. Just calm down. Like, it'll be good. Like, it'll be sweet as. And then we get up there, and it's just like still drizzling. And then we set the tent up, well, it was a tarp and then a swag underneath, and it was freezing cold in Barrington Tops. And I was just like, my missus was like, just getting the shits. And I was just like, oh, I'm just so upset because I really wanted this. I really was desperate to.
I need this. Yeah.
There's no reception out there.
Yeah.
It was like a beautiful place. Like, it was right on the river. You'd only be able to get 3 or 4 campsites in there, and I was just craving it so badly that I just wanted to be still after such a hectic few months. So I know exactly what you mean, like being still and just craving that. But it was almost just it was a massive failure, and I'm glad we still did it. We had a good laugh, you know. It's definitely enjoyable. Like, everything was just saturated. My son's like shoes were like, she only packed in like Ugg boots, so as soon as he touched the ground, it was just like saturated. So he was cold and wet, and you couldn't even light a fire. So, but yeah, like, I was just absolutely craving that stillness, and just sitting by the river for 3 days would have been the perfect thing for me.
And that's because there's so much going on in construction, isn't there? And you just want to go, can I just turn off the brain for a bit? And how do you go when you don't get to? Do you sort of react in the opposite way? It's nearly like you go, like, you crave it that much if it doesn't happen that it's almost like tantrum worthy. Not tantrum worthy, but
no, that's exactly what happened.
Like,
yeah. Oh, it was shocking, and like, Anika had to pull me back in line and be like, calm down, you know. Like, I was just telling her to calm down. Now I'm like, fuck, you know, I didn't get the stillness that I wanted, you know. So yeah, it's annoying because it's you crave it and you want to do it, and you're aiming for stillness and calm, and you get the opposite of that because you're frustrated because you didn't get it. It's full circle, you know?
Yeah, that's it. And so paint a little picture for us. Like, what's the future look like? If you look 10 years ahead, what's Lou Projects like? Does it even exist? What's your personal journey look like?
I think I'd hope to think that Lou Projects will definitely exist, unless we lose more profit on a few other extra jobs. But Yeah, I think for me, it's just continuing to add value into the community. And like I said before, that it might evolve into some sort of mentoring thing for young builders that are trying to like start their own business. Like I'd be maybe keen on that. But whether I'd be able to do what I'm doing right now on a sustainable level when I'm 55 or 60, I don't know. Like maybe I'll have some sort of like tie-in with the business in terms of like I enjoy doing the videos, so maybe I'll keep doing that, doing fun stuff like that, and someone else runs the company. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'd hope we're still around and having an influence on the industry and helping other people and like particularly clients. Like I put the stuff out there to help them understand the process. And so whether they sign up with us or another builder, at least they can come in and make that builder's life a lot easier because they understand the process. So I will just continue doing, putting more information out there in hope that it helps other people.
Well, you are helping people by adding value in many people's lives. You're adding value to the client, adding value to your team, you're adding value to other builders, and ultimately, hopefully adding value to you and your family. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. It's thanks for having me. It was really nice to chat about all the things going on, and you speak so well, so it was easy to do this, so thank you.
Thanks for joining us today for the Building Business Podcast. There are more episodes on the way. And if you ever need help, get in touch with C Business Solutions.